Have you gotten to that point where you're already asking yourself, how do we make this work? How do I do this? I've tried every possible means, I've tried every possible idea that I have, but this is not working. Has that been your case concerning the communication in your relationship or marriage? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 possible reasons why your communication is not producing results. And I want you to stay tuned to watch this video to the very end. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a tip of advice that will help your communication. So I want you to stay tuned to watch this video till the very end. So the first reason why it is impossible or you're finding it difficult to establish effective communication in your relationship is no commitment. When there is no commitment or average commitment in that relationship, it will be difficult to actually establish communication. Before you go into a relationship with someone, one of the things you try to put in place is that you communicate your thoughts to that person, you communicate your ideas to that person, and then you also respond back to the person, your thoughts, your ideas, your feelings. Now, one question, excuse me, how do you enter into a relationship with someone and you don't want to communicate with that person? And I want you to know that communication is not just about asking that person how you're doing, how your day went, what did you eat, what are you doing right now. No, it goes beyond that. It goes into getting to understand the mindset and the state of mind of that person part time, and constantly communicating with your partner helps you establish this. Now I find it so hard to understand why it's easy for you to push through to communicate with that person you are in a relationship with currently. It was easy for you to communicate with them steadily before you got them to enter into a relationship with you. But now that you're in the relationship or in that marriage with that person, it's so difficult to communicate. Sometimes this comes as a result of over familiarity, and you have to close that gap. You have to take that out of your relationship or marriage, because communication is one way that can help, one thing that can help you build your union. Communication will help you understand the mind of that person towards you and towards that relationship that you're into. It's funny, but I have to say this. Sometimes some people are in relationships with themselves, thinking that they are in relationship with another person. And one of the things that will help you find this out, know the status, your status in that relationship, is how effectively you communicate with this person. I'm not saying there are people who don't know how to communicate, but I'll consider that as an excuse, especially if it is constant, if it is something that only one person has to do the communication and the other person does not even put in effort. If you see someone that is putting in effort, you know. But if you see it that from the beginning it has always been one-sided and you have to talk, you have to complain before that person, and that person will not even show any sign of improvement, will not even decide to make it work. You see, when you love someone, one of the things that you want to constantly do is constantly communicate with that person. You want to hear that person's voice. You want to know how that person is faring. You want to know if your partner is okay. So if you can do this before entering into that relationship, why not continue it in that marriage or in that relationship? So when there is no commitment, it will be difficult to establish communication. When there is no commitment, you won't have it at the back of your mind that I need to call my partner today. I need to talk to him or her. I know how things are, especially when that person is away. You will not have it at the back of your mind to say, what's going on with my partner today? Let me get in touch and see what's wrong. So you need to establish commitment for communication to work. And if there's no commitment, communication cannot prevail. The second thing on my list is that there is no established medium. At this point, there's willingness, there's a readiness to communicate, but you both have not established a medium to enhance your communication. How do I mean? The world has gone digital. Almost everyone on planet Earth has a cell phone, and not just a cell phone. In your country, I believe you that is watching this video, you're watching this through a smartphone or a technological device. Now, if that is the case, one of the things that you need to establish in that relationship is that you must establish a medium of communication and you must use it effectively. If you're going to go through apps used for video calls, you can engage in that. If you're going to go through voice calls, messages, text, emails, Facebook, pictures, videos, whatever means that you want to establish communication through. Just make sure that you're communicating with each other effectively. Now, if there's no established communication and medium of communication, and if there is no desire to make that come into play, then it will be difficult for you to actually establish your communications, and it's going to be easy to find excuses. Now, look at this scenario. When me and my husband started our relationship, it was easy for us to establish a medium of communication because we were able to get a secured CUG line that allowed us to communicate day in, day out. And this CUG line was in operation in such a way that we got to subscribe the lines at the beginning of the month, and once we got it subscribed, we had the ability to make free calls for the rest of that month and even send free text messages. Aside that, we're also able to engage in making free WhatsApp calls and stuff like that. So if you are able to establish it that, okay, babe, in this relationship, I want us to communicate often, and this is one way, or this is one step that we can take. We can call each other frequently. Maybe you call in the morning, I'll call you at night, or when you know that you're having a free time, just beep me and then we'll talk from there. If you know that you can put these things in place, you don't have to interrupt each other's daily activities like when you're at work and all, but when you have a plan on ground and when you have a desire to actually talk to each other often, you will get to make sure that there are established means for you to make this communication effective. So that's tip number 2 on why it is impossible or it's difficult for you to be able to establish communication. There is no medium in place for that to happen yet. The third tip that I'm going to be sharing with you is that you both do not have similar interests. Now, this is what I'm trying to say. When you're in a relationship with someone, one of the things that brings you together in that relationship, especially a purposeful relationship, one of the things that brings both of you together is that your mindsets align with each other. Your vision, your purpose in life is aligning with each other's purpose and vision. Now, if you do not have similar mindsets, visions or things that drives you, it's going to be difficult to actually establish a communication, because the moment you want to communicate, you'll be wondering, what are we going to talk about? And then your communication becomes boring, because the only thing you'll be asking yourself is, what are you doing? Have you eaten? Where are you going to? What are you constantly ask yourself, what are you doing? What's going on? And that question becomes boring, especially if it does not trigger a response that will actually bring about communication. You see, some people don't really know how to talk, but there are certain conversations that you will bring up that will make that person willing to actually talk to you or talk with you and give you a response. Likewise, the other person. There are certain things that you will say, and there's how you will say it. Now, from the moment that you start communicating with each other in your relationship, one of the things that should be the bedrock of that communication is, what's your purpose? What are your aspirations? What are the things that you like to achieve? When you begin to talk about these things and it begins to align with what you want to see in your life or in your marriage, you begin to see that you both begin to talk in this area and you begin to plan your life towards this area, maybe concerning your children, concerning your home, concerning your career. When it aligns with each other's, you begin to have similar interests. You begin to plan your agenda around this interest that both of you share, and it's going to make that conversation interesting. It's going to make it one that the other person or both of you will be looking forward to having as often as possible. Now, so you have to make sure that you have similar interests for your communication to be effective. If you don't have similar interests, you'll find your attention being drifted apart from each other. You find that you don't have this interest in having a conversation with each other, and your communication will be boring and unproductive. There's more to communication than just asking, what did you have for lunch? What did you have for dinner? What are you putting on? Where are you going to? There's more to communication than that. Although these things are important, but there are certain trivial questions and conversations that you need to have towards that relationship in order to make it work. So you have to give your communication a lot of spice. Sometimes you can go ahead to research things that you want to talk about. Just go on the internet. There are certain topics that you can just bring up and discuss. Maybe there's something that is a concern to both of you. You can talk about it, but don't just stop at the point where you say, what did you eat? What are you doing now? And that's all. There has to be something that will trigger that communication for it to be effective. The next reason why your communication is not productive is because of excuses. And yes, I know that at some point I fall guilty of this. Excuses. Excuses of, I'm tired. Excuses of, I was so busy. Excuses of, I couldn't pick my phone to do anything. I had a very, very busy day at work and stuff like that. Or I couldn't leave my baby. Oh, there's so many reasons why you give excuses. My husband will always say something. He said, when it comes to excuses, there will be 1001 genuine reasons why these excuses are relevant. But if you dwell on these excuses, you would actually not make progress. And that's another reason why your communication is not productive. There is willingness. There is that medium established, but you just have excuses on why you cannot communicate effectively. Maybe you're telling yourself, I just don't like calling, I just don't like texting, I just don't like making video calls and all. But should I tell you the truth? They are all excuses. Because if you really commit to want to actually establish that communication, my dear, you will. Especially when it comes to someone that you're so much in love with and you're looking forward to spending the rest of your life with this person. Especially in your marriage, you need to be able to communicate with your partner. You can just send a message. Hi, babe, how are you doing? I'm just checking on you. I know there are times when I can't get in touch with my husband due to the fact that he's in a different location. I have to send a message ahead of time, and I know that when he gets in, when he finally gets a signal, he's going to see that message. My husband is able to call most of the times, and sometimes when he calls, he's just going to, especially when I've not been able to get in touch with him or call him, he's going to ask, why are you not able to call? Why have you not called me for today? What's happening? I might give reasons that are genuine that he will understand, and sometimes he might just be like, that's not right. You have to be able to call because there's nothing stopping you from calling. And at that point, I actually know that there was actually no reason for me not being able to call. Excuses will always stop you from doing the right thing. But if you really want to do the right thing, you will put excuses aside and you will find a way to get in touch with your partner. So try as much as possible, even if you say you don't like to talk or make calls or video calls or messages, if you begin to practice it early, you will find that you will see the results and you won't mind making that sacrifice in order to make it work. Because the more you consistently communicate with each other, your communication and your relationship will definitely work out. Have you ever heard that statement of, I really don't know how to communicate, or I have this problem with calling? Sometimes it can be genuine, sometimes it might not be genuine, sometimes it's just how they feel towards you. The next point I want to emphasize on is that is either you really don't love each other or the love is one-sided. It's sad to say that some people are just in a relationship with themselves and not with the other person because the other person doesn't actually want to establish love with you. This person is just with you for some reason or for some benefits that they are getting from you, and it's sad, and I understand that. I remember one relationship that I ended up being into, and it was so not good because I ended up being the one that would try to initiate communication. And when I eventually get in touch with this person, there will just be a download of all the events that has happened, and it will hurt me so much because you've not been able to call me for a span of 1 week or so, but I've seen that you've been active on social media. You've not been able to call me, and when I call you, that's the time that you want to give me a download of all your activities. It's boring, it's annoying, and I get that that's what some people go through in their relationship. So if there's one-sided love or commitment, you will not see results. If there's no love in that relationship, you will not see results. You will only see that you're both struggling to just manage the relationship. And at the end of the day, it will definitely fall apart, like things fall apart. You will see that things will not go well. If there's no love between both of you. If you're just managing yourselves, you're just saying, let's just keep managing and to see where this leads us. As long as you're managing and you know within yourselves that this thing is not genuine, there's nothing good that will come out of it. It's not a prophecy. It's just the outcome or the consequences of that, the action. Like people will always say, you cannot plant mangoes and expect cashews to grow out of it. Also, you cannot commit to a wrong relationship or a relationship where there is no love and expect love to generate out of it. Forget it. I know people always say, with time, love would come. With time, love would come if there's love already inside and it's there's something that is shielding it from coming out. But when it is so obvious that there's no love and you're just doing this for the benefits, it will definitely spark up, and then you will get to know that it won't work out. The last on my list today is the final point, which is that you do not belong to each other. The previous point I shared, I've already touched some things in that aspect. Sometimes it's okay to let things go. Sometimes it's okay to realize that this person or this relationship is not meant for you. And especially when you're seeing that you've put in efforts, but there's no vibe, there's no positive energy, there's no results coming out of it. You just know that, oh, this thing is not working. You get, and your mindsets are not just aligning. Your purpose does not align, your vision does not align, and your spirit is just telling you that, oh, this is not what I want for you. You are seeing that this person is moving towards a different angle and you're moving towards a different angle. There's no point for both of you to meet. It's just like you're going to Abuja and you're facing the road that is taking you to Nasarawa. Will definitely not get to your destination. So you need to make sure that you are actually supposed to be together, because when you establish that this relationship is meant to be, these things will just flow in naturally. That willingness, that commitment, that genuineness, that love will flow in naturally. But if you're not meant to be, everything will be a struggle, from communication to finding love or establishing love in that relationship, to trust and all. These things will definitely be an issue, and you will not have reasons to want to make this work. You will not have reasons to want to see that this thing actually pulls through, or this thing actually works for you. So it's important that you actually know that this relationship is meant to be. One thing that will hinder that communication from being effective and productive is when you are not actually meant to be in a relationship with each other. You see, there are some times when you're friends with someone, it goes well, it flows well, you're communicating effectively, you're able to gist and talk about random things. But the moment you decide to take it into relationship, it just turns around, and then it looks as if, what are we doing here? Not everybody that you find yourself being friends to can be in a relationship with you. Likewise, I know that it is also said, which I also advise, marry your friend, but you can't marry every one of your friends. There's that one particular person that when that person comes in contact with you or comes into your life, you know that this person is worth spending the rest of your life with. That person can just show up at the moment of time while other people have been around you for some time. When that person shows up, you will find that spark, you'll find that thing, you'll find that your spirit resonates with that person, and this person can help you in life.